Hi, I'm Chris Bergwald, Director of Adult Faith Formation with the Diocese of Sioux Falls.
And I'm Eric Gallagher, the Director of Adolescent Faith Formation for the Diocese of Sioux Falls.
And in this video, we're looking at Chapter 11 of Sherry Weddell's book, Forming Intentional Disciples. And this is looking at encountering Jesus Christ, the personal relationship with Him in the church. So this is one of the other areas, Eric, where I hear some questions or concerns even about this whole idea of having a personal relationship with Christ. Doesn't that mean that isn't this apart from the church? It's more of an individualist, personal relationship with Christ, but the rest of the church doesn't matter. And that's obviously not the case. As we as Catholics emphasize strongly the importance of the church. We've talked in previous videos of how it's through the sacraments, through the Mass, that we really encounter Jesus in a way that it goes beyond anything else. And in this chapter, Sherry gives some of the examples, all the sorts of different ways within the Catholic tradition, the sacraments, the Mass in particular, different prayer forms and so on, all these different ways where we can deepen our relationship with Christ, the things that can happen in virtually any and every parish.
And I think just to acknowledge the gifts and the tools that we have to do this. It's not, and we're not just using the church to do discipleship, but
Right.
it's all in encompassing in that our ultimate goal is really to get to heaven and really through the liturgy of just experiencing that. So our goal of discipleship, my goal in developing relationships with young people and leading them through this process of intentional discipleship, my only hope is that they would be able to enter into what the church does and teaches. And so in the liturgy, in the prayers, in the sacraments, in the lives of the saints, and all those different things through Lectio, through Scripture, my hope is that those efforts that are made in the church would be only to deepen that, but just to recognize that we also have the things within the church that help us. And that includes even from just the freedom of working in the obedience of the church and just knowing we have a bishop and we have a priest, and what we should do should really be under that. And when we do that, we just really begin to recognize how big and how beautiful the church is and all that it has to offer us.
Right. So you mentioned bishop, priest. I mean, the spiritual fatherhood that they offer us, that we can enter into a deeper relationship with Christ through their spiritual guidance and their direction. And a lot of times, can I do these things on my own? Absolutely. I mean, you can read the Bible on your own. You can pray with Scripture on your own. Especially with the internet, there's so many spiritual resources that we have access to that 20 years ago, people would have to go to a city like Sioux Falls or even a larger city to find these resources. Now you can find them online. So if you're a person or just one individual or a family or a couple, a small group, and you're looking for some of these resources, there's so much that you can find online. We have some of those sorts of things on our website, but on the internet there are all sorts of resources to deepen the relationship with Christ through the spiritual traditions of the church.
And the last thing I'd say, it can also be a measurement of our fruitfulness in this idea, is we'll see the fruit within the church, and so that we know that our discipleship efforts are being fruitful and that we're doing them correctly when those that are in discipleship are going to Mass more regularly, are going to confession more regularly, are praying the Scriptures more regularly, all those things that the church offers. When we could easily become an independent thing on the side that is very in and of itself and isn't reflective of what the church teaches. And so I think that's another way to do it. If you know that you have active discipleship in your parish, when people are receiving and participating in the life of the church in these different ways.
Yeah, so bearing fruit. I mean, you talked about missionary initiative. So the conclusion should be that there's fruit being born within the parish, within the community. One of the central points of the book that she touches on a number of places is the idea of charisms, the gifts that we've been given individually by which we can build up the kingdom. We should be discerning them and putting them to work. And depending what charisms God has given to us, that might be within the parish, that might be within the community. It could be both. It could be something completely different. Who knows? But it should be bearing fruit, so we, as you said, we can sort of see the positive results of this growth in personal relationship.
And I question now with diocesan events, especially when I send kids back from our camps or our rallies, I ask pastors, are these kids coming? Are you seeing the fruits of this in your parish? Are they coming to your door and saying, I want to help? I don't know how, or maybe here's some ways that they told me I should get involved, but really that's a huge way that I measure, am I doing things right? Is this program really bearing fruit in the diocese? And if it's not, I'm happy to adjust and figure out what we need to do. And sometimes that's just not the focus. We're here and fired up, and it can be become kind of centered on the program itself. And so, to think of the church rather than in of like our youth group or our adult Bible studies or anything like that. It's not about how much that grows. It's about how much our mass attendance grows and how much confession grows and things like that.
Absolutely.